Saving animals in America's shelters is difficult on any given day. And then came the pandemic. Hi, I'm Holly Sizemore, Chief Mission Officer for Best Friends Animal Society, and this is Rose, my co-host, who reminds our guests to hit like and subscribe. In this week's episode, we're going to pick up where we left off last week, talking with Denise Deisler and Lawrence Nicholas with Jacksonville Humane Society. How do we ensure that as an animal welfare movement, we create our own successful future despite all this uncertainty?
I think it starts with acknowledging the uncertainty and that we don't have all the answers. Let's just put it right out there. None of us do. Not in animal welfare, not in any field of business right now is anybody certain. So let's focus on what we can control. And I think that's really important, and involve others in those discussions and conversations on those things and the decisions that we would make surrounding them. I'll give you a quick example. And that is, we're a large organization. We have multiple programs. There are different roles and functions we fulfill in our community. And among them are a public hospital that's available to anybody in our community looking for services. Like everyone, we're experiencing staff shortages. We experienced the typical summer uptick of intake and kitten season and all of the lovely things that go with that. And our staff was getting really stressed by being stretched too thin. We had to recognize we couldn't offer all of the exact same things. So what were the most important things core to our mission that nobody else was doing? And what can we let go of? And it was a real tough pill to swallow, a tough one to swallow. And in our case, it was a big gulp, but the decision we made was we had to stop accepting public appointments from our community for our hospital. And that decision was more easily made by the fact that in our community, we have other nonprofit hospitals. There are other options for people. What there weren't other options for was charitable medical work. And by letting go of the public appointments in the hospital, that allowed us to focus our doctors and technicians' time on that piece that isn't filled in our community. And those are the people who don't even at a low cost have the ability to get vet care for their pets. And we could shift all of our resources, medical resources, to caring for the sheltered animals, caring for fostered animals, and caring for those family members in the community who desperately needed veterinary care but couldn't afford it. And we let go of that other thing. And every month we revisit the conversation. Where are we with staff? Where is the demand? Can we open the hospital appointments back up again or not? And we just made the decision we're not going to open them back up again in September. I can tell you as a director, that was hard because there's the income generated from the public clients typically pays for that other charitable work that we're doing. So there's always a little bit of a leap of faith in there too. It was like, well, I'm going to have to lose that income because we just didn't have the staffing to support all those things. So listen, I think leaders have some tough decisions to make, but it's important that they make them and not just be a victim and don't allow, the wheels to fall off the bus and the staff to become completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, and you're also emphasizing that it's temporary, right?
Absolutely. We don't say the hospital's closed, for example. We're currently not taking appointments for the hospital. I mean, that's the answer. That could change tomorrow. And that's the other watchword in this environment that we all know is that ability to be flexible. So that hospital is not accepting appointments right now. And we've shifted the team over to the shelter side and retention side. But they know that, if and when things change, we could be shifting back. And so we're prepared for that. The other part of that I'll say is really important is don't surprise people with those decisions, including if you're a nonprofit, your board of directors. I've been preparing them for the fact that this was the one that's in my back pocket. I don't want to make this decision, but like I said, I also can't run the staff ragged and be unreasonable. And so when the time came to make that decision, they were informed, they were prepared. It was kind of okay, we knew you might have to do this thing. And so that also allows you to not act in a crisis mentality or be reactionary, where we're being thoughtful about other things too. What's next? If this isn't enough, what's next? What other choices and decisions might we be facing?
Lawrence, I hear from a lot of shelters that they feel they don't have control over that intake piece due to the summer influx. How do you help them get control?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, and part of it is acknowledging, to Denise's earlier point, that in some ways we don't always have full control of that. What we do have some control over is making sure that our internal processes are as fine-tuned as they can be to manage the population that we have. So again, making sure that everything is in line and that we're all working together in lockstep to be able to manage the animals that we do have in our care is really critical. And if your shelter doesn't have any kind of processes in place on the front end to be able to have some control over your intake or manage your intake in any way, that is something that's important to take a look at. We do schedule our owner surrender appointments are by appointment. It's scheduled. Our stray hours it's not 24/7. We do have some control around when animals are enter the Jacksonville Humane Society, and then we staff as best we can appropriately for that. We also try really, really hard to create community programs to be able to support the animals that are in need without entering the Jacksonville Humane Society in the first place. So a really critical program that we started before the pandemic, but really ramped up during and since, is our Kitten Crusaders program, which is partnering with local veterinarians to be able to provide veterinary resources, vaccines, care to underage kittens, so they don't have to enter the shelter system. We can get 99% of that stuff done even beforehand. And very often, the person who finds and cares for those kittens either keeps them or finds them a home themselves. So thinking outside of the box in that way and being able to say, all right, what resources really are in need for the community? What animals are struggling? And is there a way that our organization can help support those animals in a way that's different than just them simply entering the traditional shelter system?
And you do have control over the outcome, right?
Yeah, we sure do. And that's what we focus on every day, is making sure that we're being thoughtful about every individual animal and that their positive outcome is top of mind. That's a commitment that has never wavered in the height of the pandemic or since or before, that we are going to look at every individual animal and make sure that they do have their best path out of here.
And Holly, I'd add to that, going back to something that pointed out earlier, we can't handle 2019 numbers with 2021 pandemic policies. And so you really have to look at those things that were put in place during the height of the pandemic. Are they really necessary?
Lawrence, any final words from you? Anything else you'd like to say?
I feel like our industry and our movement has always thrived on uncertainty. That's been how we've gotten to where we are now. We've faced challenges. We don't know what's on the other side, but we always consistently elevated ourselves to get to the other side. And this one isn't different. It's really not different. It's just another opportunity, another example for us as a movement and us as leaders within that movement to step up to the plate and say, all right, we are going to move forward. We're going to move through this. And this is just the next road, the next, speed bump towards us achieving, an amazing no-kill goal. It's not a different one. So let's just let's get back to work. Let's put our shoes on and keep moving forward.
Great. Thank you both. It's always wonderful to talk to you. You're doing great things in Jacksonville and the entire state of Florida and beyond. It's really been a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Holly.
Holly.
The moral of the story is that the ability to change and change again creates the kinds of organizations that can survive and even thrive despite life's curveballs. Because together, with the ability to pivot and punt, we can save them all.